Reactive training systems.
So I was talking with a friend of mine earlier today, and we were both commenting on how interesting it is to look at a person's personality and try to draw conclusions or try to draw parallels to their preferences in training based on that information. I've done some work on this previously, just kind of scratching the surface, just trying to figure out, for high-level lifters, is there any sort of information that we can tell about what they're likely to prefer about training just based on personality data? And it seems like there is. Now, I think the next and very critical step is to start peeling back the layers on, okay, that's what they prefer, but is that what's ideal for them? And that's a very complicated question, and it's not something that will be answered easily. And part of it is for what I was talking to my friend about today. So I've mentioned to him before, based on his personality data, he would likely prefer, training that's XYZ style, and that's not really worked out well for him. Now, part of the reason is that, these are trend lines in a very scattered set of data. There are so many exceptions to the rule that it would not be at all uncommon to find an exception. So part of it could be that. But also, after talking with him, powerlifting and strength training is not his core physical focus. It's not his core physical pursuit. So it doesn't get the full attention that he has. It's kind of left over from his main physical activities. So in his case, he likes to bring a certain, I would suspect that he likes to bring a certain level of intensity to his training. He likes to get a bit more psyched up, based on personality data. That's what I would assume. Well, in reality, he doesn't, because he feels like he's spending that type of emotional energy in his main focal areas. So he doesn't have it that he wants to spend for his physical training. And that's important. That's important because personality is one piece, but then it has to fit into the larger context of that person's life. So there's their broad personality, but then there's the specific resources that you're left with after all the higher priority things are taken out. Now, if you're working with an athlete who is, say, training for the World Championships, which we're fortunate to do a lot of times, it's a much easier ask, because for those lifters, training is such a high priority of their life all the time. It's getting their best. It's getting their focus. It's getting their energy. Now, if you have somebody that's not in that case, maybe they're lifting recreationally and their main thing is managing a company, then it's not going to be the same as if you were training somebody who's 100% focused. Now, file that under duh. It's still worth saying that we should pay attention to stuff like that whenever we're looking at things like what is optimal, okay? Because you can have this ideal, you can have what's optimal on paper, but in the real world, maybe the opposite is what gets you the result that you're looking for, okay? Our job as coaches, at least from the athlete's perspective, is results and enjoyment. Enjoyment, at least in my mind, is more about the coach and athlete interaction. It's how you cultivate the relationship with the athlete. It's the coach's culture, the whole program's culture that you set. The results side of it, you've got to get the client results. You've got to get that athlete the results that they're looking for. And if the textbook solution is not providing those results, then you've got to go away from that. You've got to do something else. You've got to find a way to make it work. So that's really the thing that I wanted to say, that, you know, the personality thing is intensely interesting. It's also intensely complicated. And what it's all going to come back to is do the thing that gets you the best results for the lifter, and the rest is noise, you know? And you need to be detailed and methodical about how you do that, but, you know, maybe that's another video for another day.
Reactive Training Systems.